other one?
Larson and Gergensen.
Yeah, and I mean Larson and Gergensen, I feel are they're fourth line guys. I mean they need to get better from the bottom to the top. I mean they still need a lot. They're not. I mean obviously it's Captain Obvious saying that, but it's been so long that Jack Eichel is probably on arguably a worse team now than the one that he started with in the first year of his career. I mean, I could definitely throw out comparisons as to who they had then and now, but it just doesn't seem like they've gotten much better since they drafted Jack Eichel. They're nowhere near where they need to be, and you look at the playoffs and how the playoffs panned out with Toronto and Boston and some of the other teams there in the East. Carolina made the playoffs. I mean, Buffalo should be in the playoffs year in and year out with the talent that they have, that they're supposed to have, and it's frustrating.
When you have Poso making $6 million a year, and he's the second highest paid player on your team, and he's producing almost nothing,
right?
That's a problem, and they need to fix that. And I'm going to start blaming John Tavares because we have picked his two wingers, paid them a lot of money, and they've done nothing for us. And Matt Molson and Kyle Poso, that John Tavares has not only killed us when he's on the Toronto, but he's also killed us in the fact that he jacked up the stats of two players that we took. And
right.
That's another Sabre thing that magically has happened. Although I think it's the Billy Lano curse that he's done so well on another team, we grab him, and then they do absolutely nothing when he gets over here.
What's crazy to me is you mentioned John Tavares, and I see a lot of similarities with his career at the Islanders with Jack Eichel. Like a revolving door of players, instability, coach after coach. I mean, yeah. What do you think? I mean, if you were to look, however many years Jack Eichel's got left on his deal, 6 or 7, I believe. He's got a long time before his contract is up, but do you think he stays here after all of this? If things don't get better?
No.
Right.
Oh my gosh, no. No, I think.
Will he even finish that contract?
No.
Yeah, right.
If you're that good of a player, you demand a trade. I would too. Like, I'm not going to waste my hockey career in this, in this hellhole of a team that they have been since 2011.
Right.
I don't think if something doesn't change, he'll definitely do something. He'll definitely demand a trade or do something. But we have him until 2026, 2027?
Yeah, maybe? I believe so. Yeah, I believe it's 7 or 8 years. So
this team is mind-boggling to me, and I just don't understand it. And what hurts is that we got such a glimpse of what this area Buffalo will be when they're good. And you go back to November when they went that 10-game win streak. Everyone was talking about them. Everyone was going to the game. KeyBank Center was rocking. It was loud. I was lucky enough to go to one of those games in the 10-game win streak, and it's amazing, and it sucks you right in. And then they had their audacity just to go on this losing streak, and it was just hysterical because after it, I go, all right, just go. All right, you lost one game, that's fine. Now go and beat Florida. That was their next game, and they lost. And I'm like, okay. And then they lost another one. I'm like, all right, we're not on a slide yet. And then I don't know what happened. It's just there's no words can explain to what happened to this team. I have no idea.
Now, before we start just pulling our hair out, we can switch subjects. We can talk about the Buffalo Bills now and breathe a sigh of relief. Can you honestly believe that in this current landscape of Buffalo sports, that when talking about the Sabres, it's so agitating that you have to talk about the Bills? Like I can't, like, I love the Bills. Everyone knows I love the Bills, but what parallel universe are we living in where the Bills are like the fresh breath of air in Buffalo?
And how low is Buffalo's bar that the fresh breath of air is like a 6-10 team? Like, that's where we are right now.
It's so true. It's so sad, but so true.
You know what? I love it. I think we are definitely due, and they've organized a good organization over there. I like Sean McDermott and what he's done so far. I don't like judging a coach right away, even though I will be very critical, but I'll give him some time. And I think that what he's done, especially with the defense is top 3 in DVOA. And I think it definitely, with the changes they made, it can stay up there now. But the problem is, let's get introduced to 2019 football and start throwing it. That's the problem I have with this team. And what they've shown with Josh Allen is it looks like they had some sort of like training wheels on him, and they're like, all right, go out there, throw it 19 times a game and see what you can do. And he got into a hero ball mode, and he made himself look good some games, and he made some throws that were, what are you doing? But that kind of was the write-up on him when he came out.
Right. And I look at it like this. I mean, he's going into his second season. I think as a rookie, for me, I didn't expect him to even play. I did expect him to get some starts here and there, but initially, they try to model it like A.J. McCarron was going to be the starter, and then for whatever reason in God's name, they decided that Nathan Peterman would be the starter week 1.
Well, he's throwing dimes in Oakland right now, so
I don't know. They didn't say he was throwing dimes to the offense. So we'll just leave it at that. So the season, I mean, you look at the supporting cast that Josh Allen's always had, not just in Buffalo, but at Wyoming too. I had a guy tweet me back today saying that, Josh Allen had a 51% completion percentage in college. He was this, he was that. And I'm like, the guys that he played with at Wyoming, at best, right now, are probably working for like Google or maybe they're a security guard or a bouncer he's never had a great supporting cast. I never even remembered a player outside of Eddie Yarborough that came out of Wyoming that was remotely even talked about outside of Josh Allen. I mean, what he's done to elevate his name is pretty remarkable, I'd say, right?
It feels like he's been playing hero ball since he was in college. You're correct, but
that does need to stop, though. I agree with you on that. It does need to stop because he'll have a very short career if he's running around, taking hits out of bounds like he was. I do agree with that.
I think that's maybe why it's intriguing because, okay, he's been doing this since college. He's now doing it in NFL, and by hero ball, I mean he's running around because he has nothing else. He's trying to make plays, and it's intriguing to see, well, let's see what he can do when he gets these players.
Right.
Is he going to change? And that's what, I mean, I was a huge advocate of Cole Beasley. I think he gets separation. He's a great wide receiver for a quarterback that isn't as accurate as you want him to be. He's going to get that separation. John Brown can stretch the defense. Maybe they're going to sit back and let him, like, hey, why don't you throw 30-something times a game now?
Right.
Let's see what happens. But the big thing that on the Bills that it is very optimistic around here when it comes to them, and I can't wait for the start of the season, but that really irks me is that we finally, and this is just the negativity that I have as a Buffalo sports fan, that we finally get this guy that's intriguing. And he's, all right, he has some sort of promise, and he just gets torn apart by everyone else. And I instantly go to these people, can you imagine, don't change any of his stats. Put him on the Patriots. Put him on an NFC West team.
Right. They
would be saying he is the next coming
of
quarterback in the league. Oh, well, yeah, he did this, but he didn't really have anything. He's a rookie this year. Just wait for him next year. And it's astonishing to me that people are ripping him apart and don't see anything when we really don't even know yet. And he showed promise. I mean, his stats
for sure.
There.
For sure.
But, yeah, his stats are okay, but he only played 12 games. Give himself let's give him 200 yards more per game because he only played 12. That puts him right around 3,000 passing yards, and about his TD to interception ratio would have been like almost even. But I still think, and maybe it's just how much I hate the Patriots in the NFC West, is that I think you put this quarterback on any of their teams, and he did exactly what he did this year, everyone would be talking about him like, oh, look at him go. Garoppolo was on the Patriots. He did absolutely nothing, and they thought he was so fantastic.
Right.
And it's just this Buffalo stigma that I think the media and everyone has, is that they won't even allow us to have a quarterback to let's see if he's good. We're instantly going to shoot him down. And I just think that's wrong, and it's wrong on him. I need to see more of him, and that's where it's a little bit promising. But let's see what happens. I mean, talk to me at week 4 and they're 1-3, and I'll probably completely change everything I just said.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, like I said, it's year 2, and his supporting cast was really bad last year. His supporting cast is much better this year. Outside of the wide receivers, they reinvigorated, whatever word you want to use, their offensive line. If their offensive line is not slightly better, I will bang my head into a mirror. Their offensive line has to be better. I mean, there's no doubt it has to be better, not just on paper, but in actual reality. With Mitch Morse, with Ty Nsekhe, with some of the guys that will compete for the guard spots, like Spencer Long, John Feliciano, LeAdrian Waddle, I really like too. I think it's going to be a very fun training camp to see these guys compete for, essentially, I think we'll see the whole line get reshifted. Maybe even Deion Dawkins goes from tackle to guard finally. They've talked about it a little bit, but there was never really an opening there for him to move from tackle to guard. Maybe Dawkins moves to guard. And then, you have some offensive players. I talked with a guest on my podcast on draft day about Devin Singletary. Not knowing whatsoever that Buffalo would take him, not knowing that Buffalo would take a running back in general. I'd hoped they would. This guy is so underrated. He fits perfectly into the mold of the Buffalo Bills and their offense. And they've made so many moves of getting guys that are so underrated and have this chip on their shoulder that I personally, to what you were saying about like Twitter and people being negative towards Josh Allen, I love it. I think it's great because Buffalo has no expectations to do anything. And they very well might do something, whereas Cleveland has all these expectations, all the star power, all these guys that everyone talks about on the daily shows on TV every day, that you could see Cleveland fall on their face, and Buffalo might actually show up because no one expects them to.
Yeah, I guess having low expectations and not doing anything is good, and having high expectations and not doing anything is worse, I guess. So,
I think just in terms of the analysts saying, well, Cleveland's going to do this, Cleveland's going to do that. I definitely want to have high expectations. My expectations for me personally are that they'll make the playoffs. I think they easily can. But the fact that no one else is saying that, that makes me happy. That's what I meant. And as far as Cleveland, everyone is ready to anoint them Super Bowl champions for some reason. I get it. I know who they got. I know what they have. And they're a completely different team than what they were 2 years ago, but you still have to earn it. Right?
Definitely. And I think the big reason is that, Baker Mayfield's freshman year in the NFL was a good one. It was a standout year for him. I'm a huge Baker Mayfield fan. I watched him all the way he was at Texas Tech. I watched him all the way to Oklahoma. I just loved his demeanor. I loved how he goes about something. I love that swag that he has on the field. I want to see more of that in sports. I really, really like it. And I was really pushing. I'm like, you know what? There's so many knocks at him about his height. Maybe he'll fall mid-round. And then his senior year just blew everyone out of the water. And I was like, well, there that goes. So he's out. But I think I definitely think the Bills will do better than what they did last year. And what's stopping me from anointing them in the playoffs, which I don't even think is a stretch at this point, is getting them in the playoffs. It's just that we've been burned so much that I just don't want to even say that they're going to make the playoffs. But I think the schedule is laid out perfectly for them. I see a point where they could be, 3-0 coming home to the Patriots?
Right.
Like, that is a realistic thing. You have Jets, Giants, Bengals to start the year.
That's I said the exact same thing when I first saw the schedule. It was my first thought. 3-0.
After that, you have the Titans.
Right.
You could go into the bye with one loss. I'll never pick them to beat the Patriots, but you that could happen, and I'm just stopping myself from getting too excited. But I think they have the pieces, and I think if they form themselves and allow Josh Allen to throw the ball, and I heard the other day that the offensive coordinator is kind of, letting go of the leash a little bit, allowing him to call some plays.
Yes, yeah, I did read that as well. That is so great. Now, the fact that they feel comfortable enough with him to do that in his second year, and Zay Jones talked about how he's actually telling the receivers how he wants them to run routes. I mean, that goes beyond an improvement in skill set. That's like a true leadership role being seized by him. There are things off the field that are just as important as things on the field, and that's one of them for sure. You mentioned how you wanted Josh Rosen, and when they picked Josh Allen, you were upset. I know a lot of Bills fans that were. But me, myself, I looked at Josh Allen and I saw someone that actually embodied what Buffalo was actually trying to build, of us against them. We're going to take this guy not just because we think he has a cannon for an arm, not just because we think we can make him better, but because he fits the mold of this team and the city, as we talked about. It's like Buffalo is looked at as, it's just Buffalo. It's, what it's cold, the weather's terrible, there's not a lot to do. Where if you actually let this area kind of take you in, you'd realize, wow, this area is actually pretty special. It's its own community in a way. Feels like its own little world. Right?
Yo, I definitely agree. And to anyone that, I've been Whoa Buffalo. I'm a big Whoa Buffalo person. That I want some recognition for our sports teams when we do well. And they just, basically the number one thing they need to do is win. And Cleveland's a perfect example of everyone's like, no one wants to go to Cleveland. Cleveland's cold. They're in the Rust Belt. No one wants to go there. Oh, so you're telling me if we have a decent-looking quarterback and we win some games that you're telling me people want to come here? Like, it's a great example of it's just that we have this losing stigma around us. It will take one season to get rid of that. That's it. Bills go 10-6 and get into the playoffs and maybe even lose a close one in the first round. That's it. Like, that will get rid of them. They're like, okay, let's get moving. Now, in saying that, I know we made the playoffs, 2 years ago?
Yep.
A year ago? But that was okay. No one thought Tyrod Taylor was going to be a starting quarterback, which is not to go on a rant here, but the idea that people don't think Josh Allen will be good, but yet all these media people and people in Buffalo want us to keep Tyrod Taylor. When he played 15 games, threw for 2,700 yards, 14 TDs, and 4 interceptions, and that was good.
Right.
But Josh Allen's stats are not. Like, that's just, I don't know what it is. I honestly think that people came out thinking he was going to be bad. When they showed promise, they're going to stand on their freaking hill with their flags saying, I'm not moving from this. I know he's going to be bad. But
I'm not going to be wrong. I can't be wrong. Yeah.
I can't be wrong, and I'm going to hold to it. And I think, we win, and that will get rid of this stigma. But you are right. He won me over. Take away everything he's done on the field. He won me over as, his interviews, what I've seen him do. He seems like a very nice guy, just by obviously what he's done around the community, and he seems just, I don't know. He seems like a really nice. I don't know what it is about him, but he's the guy that you're like, you know what? I'd follow this guy. Like, I don't know what it is, but that's what I got.
I tweeted something that got so many likes, and I think it's just my observation of being at the training camp and witnessing how he acclimated himself to being an NFL player, NFL quarterback, no less. Mm-hmm. He's the type of guy that you just want to be around him. I mean, the people that he plays with are his teammates and stuff like that. Those are the guys that he's going to communicate with every day. But even like the equipment guys and the trainers and stuff like that, like they just wanted to be around him. He has this energy about him that he's just this fun, charismatic guy. And you talked a little bit about how Baker Mayfield has swagger. I think Josh Allen has a little bit of a different swagger, more like a quiet, humble country boy swagger, where Buffalo, really, for Buffalo, that's perfect, I think.
Oh, man. If you can't, you can't get behind a guy when you watched him play in that Minnesota game and just that right there. I was like, all right, I want to see this guy succeed if he's going to start doing this stuff to win games. And then you fast forward to the Jacksonville game, like he put that team on his shoulders,
right,
throwing really nice dimes everywhere around there. And then next thing you know, he's mocking Jalen Ramsey in the end zone with his celebration. Like I was like, all right,
that was great. That was great.
Oh, I loved it.
Even the games that you'd watch and see where the games were a little bit boring and they were a little bit lackluster, he was the best. I said this to my friends and I've said this on the podcast a bunch of times, but week in and week out, when he was on the field on that offense, he was the best player on that offense, which says a lot, you know. It says a lot.
I think he'll learn a lot in the second year. I think he's going to use his wide receivers a lot more. I think he has more talent. As you mentioned already, the movement around the offensive line, I think that's going to be great. And I think this is going to be a good year for him. Let's hope it all plays out. I'm gearing up for 100 days or 99 days I think we are away from football.
Yeah, like 99, 98, and I definitely am excited. Well, Brandon, I appreciate you coming on the show. It was a pleasure talking with you. And for one more time, for the listeners, let them know where they can follow you.
Definitely. So let me run down real quick. As I mentioned, big things for charity I want to get out there. We got the Scavenger Hunt on August 3rd, the benefit Camp Good Days, a local charity that supports children with cancer. All this stuff can be found on GameOnBuffalo.com. On top of that, we have the kickball tournament July 13th for BBB charity. It's Lawson Park over in Cheektowaga. There's going to be there. We're going to have a lot. I think there's going to be a decent amount of like local celebrities from news stations and podcasting all over the place. So come on down and support that. You can find the Encore podcast. It's !CORE on all platforms, Spotify, iTunes. Myself, it's at Brandon Siclari, BRANDON, as in Sam, ICLARI. And definitely give a shout out to all the. It's not even close to me at Game On. I am probably 8th in line when it comes to this place. There's so many people there. Joe Jungo, Tim, Marty, everyone over there.
That's really cool.
At GameOnBuffalo.com and at GameOnBuffalo on all platforms to find us. Yeah,
I'd love to take part in one of your tournaments, and as I've said before, I don't do anything just to take part. I do it to take over. You know that.
And then we can critique your game on our podcast.
Oh yeah. Oh man, I don't know if I'd want to listen to that one. Well, I definitely appreciate you coming on, and if I listen to that one, you guys would be like, oh, he ran the wrong route, he dropped 7 passes, he overthrew his receiver. I haven't played anything in a little while, so I'd be a little rusty. I need to get warmed up. Outside of golf, my athletics career has kind of came to an end, unfortunately.
Hey, we got golf leagues too.
All right, yeah, that's right. You guys do. I'll take part in that for sure.
All right.
But I definitely appreciate you coming on. It was a pleasure having you on and chatting with you, and look forward to talking to you again soon.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Take care. That was Brandon Siclari of Game On Sports as we discussed the Buffalo Sabres, the Buffalo Bills. A lot to take in there, a lot to talk about as far as the state of both Buffalo sports franchises. And I find it interesting that I've been able to meet some of these people over the course of the last almost year now that have so many different ideas and so many different opinions, but come from plenty of different walks of life and promote plenty of different causes. And what they do, Game On Sports Buffalo, is really cool. And I look forward to talking with more representatives of that awesome organization. I'm Ryan Thomas. That was the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. Catch me tomorrow for the MMA episode of the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. Take care, everybody. Join the takeover. Follow me on Twitter at Ryan Thomas Take. And also follow me on Instagram. You can catch my daily story reactions on all things sports at Ryan Thomas Take on Instagram and Twitter. Take care, everybody.